It's Unsolicited Hot Take with Thrift Behringer, and we're live here going through the storm, it seems like, as we hope everybody stays safe these next couple of days, and we get through this, and then we'll look at on Saturday, hopefully, watching high school football and then college football, and everything else will be dandy. So, again, stay safe, but while you're home, in the comfort of your own home, staying safe, you're watching Unsolicited Hot Take with Thrift Behringer, and I got a bunch of fiery hot takes, things that I was wrong about. Seems like I'm wrong a lot, so I don't know why you would take my opinion to heart. But looking forward to talking about what happened last week in college football, then NFL, and then everybody's favorite segment. They really don't care about me, but when Crazy Chris comes on, people get fired up about that. So looking forward to having Crazy Chris. We are on anywhere you can find your podcast, and of course, the Georgia Alabama Sports Live YouTube channel and the Thrift Behringer Facebook page. Let's go ahead and start with the team that's a dumpster fire right now. That's the Auburn Tigers. I was there on the road for Sports Visions. By the way, I guess that's our only presenting sponsor, which is Sports Visions. I was on the road with DJ, live from Auburn, as they took on Arkansas, and very disappointed in what I saw from the Auburn Tigers. The fact that they pulled Hank Brown after threw 3 interceptions in the first half. Thorne comes in, still throws an interception. He struggles, and Auburn looked pathetic against an okay Arkansas team that I think is going to end up finishing with maybe 8 wins this year, which would be good because they were thinking that coming into this season, the head coach of Arkansas, Sam Pittman, was on the chopping block. If he finishes 8-4 in this SEC, yeah, he's not getting fired anytime soon. But Auburn, the problem lies at the quarterback position. The defense held Arkansas 350 yards. They actually outgained them, yet they lost the game. Why? Because of the quarterback. 4 interceptions, a fumble by Alston, who actually ran the football hard and it was on a big play. He was about to score a touchdown and ended up losing the football. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong with Auburn. And when I was talking with Mike G on the Sports Visions radio show that you can listen to every Monday and Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. on 92.1 Smooth R&B, Sports Visions Facebook page, and the Sports Visions radio app, Mike G from the War Report, we made mention, when was the last time Auburn had a good quarterback that panned out? I mean, Nick Marshall, Cam Newton, Jason Campbell, all those had, good seasons, but they really – and, again, that's a new regime going back to the Campbell days. But, again, he was one of the few quarterbacks that was at Auburn his entire career and was developed by Auburn. That's the last time. Cam came from a junior college from Florida. Nick Marshall, junior college, already developed. And these guys got better, obviously, and the offense was predicated around them. But even Jared Stidham, Bo Nix was going to be that product, and he transfers and gets better and develops more at another university. What is it with Auburn and quarterbacks? And then you think you got a quarterback whisperer that, by the way, Malik Willis is doing pretty good for the Green Bay Packers. He was drafted by Hugh Freeze and because of Hugh Freeze, and yet this is what we're seeing. Now, Bo Wallace came out, threw Hugh Freeze on the bus. I would take that with a grain of salt. Saying Bo Wallace that loved Hugh Freeze, saying Bo Wallace when he was playing, obviously, and I don't think Bo would have started for any other contending team that year except for Ole Miss. That's one. 2, Hugh Freeze did everything to keep him as a quarterback because you had good Bo, bad Bo, and yet Hugh stayed with him. And then when Hugh got hired at Auburn, he was his biggest advocate. Now you're throwing him under the bus. Bo, take your tweet, go somewhere else. No one should listen to him and be like, look what Bo Wallace said. Maybe it's Hugh Freeze. And I'm not disagreeing with the take. I'm just saying look at the source it came from. And then going in regards to his actual take about Hugh Freeze, something's got to give. He put all his eggs in the Peyton Thorne basket instead of going and getting another quarterback via the transfer portal like a Cam Ward because they had the NIL money to go get him. And you're seeing what Cam Ward's doing for Miami. He's got them as a contender, and he may win the Heisman this year. You stuck with Peyton Thorne over that. Think about Cam Ward with this receiving core. For one, I think Auburn would be undefeated very easily. And then you're talking as a contender in year 2 of Hugh Freeze, but he put his eggs in the Peyton Thorne basket, and he's overrated. Now you got Hank Brown, who Hugh Freeze, you recruited him since he was 15, and yet this is what's happening. Hank Brown getting pulled after a half. You gave Peyton Thorne an entire season. You gave Hank Brown a game and a half. I didn't like it. Auburn's in a world of hurt right now because, yeah, you got Oklahoma limping in after what happened to them against Tennessee last week, and they also took Jackson Arnold out of the starting quarterback position. But I just don't like where Auburn's at right now. Auburn goes 2-3 in the first 5 games of the season that are all at home, and none of them against a top 15 opponent. Kyle just lost to a winless Florida State team last week. Arkansas lost to Oklahoma State already. And now you're looking at Oklahoma, who got dominated by Tennessee at home last week. I think Oklahoma wins this, and not real high on Auburn, man. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from them. And if they do lose to Oklahoma, I don't even know if they make a bowl game this year. That's a huge regression. And then now you got to start thinking, does the Cam Coleman's of the world want to transfer? I wouldn't blame him, because what positive are you seeing out of the quarterback position? And the only way a lot of Cam Coleman can get the football is via the quarterback. And if he can't get him the football, why would he stay at Auburn? Just disaster, dumpster fire, and something better change quickly. Now, if Auburn beats Oklahoma, you can still right the ship, maybe finish the season 7-5, and then hopefully one of the quarterbacks, Hank Brown specifically, because this is Peyton Thorne's last year, turns out to be something that's worth, building off of for next year. Tennessee's going to make the playoffs. Mark my words. I'm going to have a tough time saying they're not better than Georgia right now. Now, obviously, you're going off of previous years and who's done it for longer and who's always been at the top for the last 5 or 6 seasons. Yeah, you're going Georgia. But I'm looking at what has happened this year. Tennessee has dominated everybody in front of them. They got a top 10, top 15 defense. They got an electric quarterback who has got an excellent arm, and Josh Heupel is now becoming one of the best play callers in all of college football. I think this team's better than 2 years ago when they were undefeated and they played Georgia as the number 1 ranked team in the college football playoff. Tennessee will make the playoffs. Mark my words on that. And as I'm looking at who Tennessee in my Phil Steele magazine, which is the best preview magazine in the world, they have a bye this week at Arkansas, Florida, and then Alabama. They will be undefeated when they take on Alabama at home. That could be a battle between 2 top 3, top 4 teams if Alabama beats Georgia. So circle that game, October 19th, 3rd weekend in October, Tennessee, Alabama. And last time they played in Tennessee, you had that great thrilling game, 52-49 back in 2022. I was right about Utah. I told you the winner of Oklahoma State and Utah, that was going to put a leg up. And then I think Kansas State's the other team in the Big 12 that's going to vie for that playoff position. Utah beats Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State without Cam Rising. I think Utah is the favorite, and I can't wait to see Utah, Kansas State, which I don't even know if they play this year. That looking at Utah, they actually do not play Kansas State this year. So both of those teams could be undefeated and playing in the Big 12 championship. How about that? So Utah, big-time win, Kyle Whittingham's team. I think this is the year they finally make the playoffs. They've had some of those years. Remember, they won back-to-back Pac-12 championships in 21 and 22. And then they were 11-1 in 2019 before they got blown out by Oregon, because they were number 5 and going to make the playoff if they had won that game over Oklahoma in 2019. They would have got blown out by LSU, but they would have made the playoff. I think this is the year finally Kyle Whittingham's team makes the playoff. All right, I do not know what the hell I'm talking about, and that is Michigan. Thought they were going to lose to USC. Excellent game. Really wasn't disappointing what I saw from USC. I think this is just a better win for Michigan. Orji is now the quarterback for Michigan. Sharon Moore made the change. And, again, I thought 7-5 this year, but the win over USC, Michigan could go 9-3. And then, I think this was a wash year for Michigan. I didn't think they thought they could win a national championship. But I think they're a team that thinks that they can build on for next year in their development system and then bringing in top recruits. So I was wrong about Michigan. I was wrong about Illinois. I thought they were going to lose to Nebraska. At Nebraska, they win in overtime. They get a huge one on the road at Penn State. But how about Brett Bielema's team and Illinois? Don't sleep on them. They could be that 9 or 10 win team I thought Nebraska was going to be. Big win for Illinois. Miami. I'm ready. I'm not ready to jump off the Clemson bandwagon yet. But Josh Pate was high on Miami, and maybe I should have been. I didn't know Cam Ward was going to be as good as he is right now, and how he has been playing. But Miami, I don't know if they lose a game, man. And they could be undefeated and ranked in the top 3. They're talented. They got depth. They got an elite quarterback that can take you to win a national championship. He's the best player on the field. They got everything you need to win a championship. Is this finally the year number 3 for Mario Cristobal? I think so, because they are just showing me why they are one of the best teams in not just the ACC but the country right now. And Colorado, because I thought Colorado may not even make a bowl game this year, but I got to give him credit. Shedeur Sanders is elite. I mean, I like the antics and the stuff he does, which I think could harm him in the NFL because you need your teammates to back you. But you can't take anything away from him. The guy's a hell of a quarterback. And the best player in the country is Travis Hunter, and it's everybody else. Now, people think he's going to win the Heisman. I think Colorado needs to win 8 games for that to happen. I don't think someone on a 6-6, 7-5 team, no matter how good he is on both sides of the football, doing something we've really never seen before, they're not giving him the Heisman if they are not at least competitive in one of the top 5, 6 teams in the Big 12. But he is the best player in the country, and he by far should be drafted. He could be an all-pro wide receiver. He can be an all-pro cornerback, returner. It doesn't matter. Travis Hunter is elite. And so is Shedeur Sanders. The rest of Colorado, not as much. But, hey, they go 7-5 this year after going 4-8 last year. That's an improvement. That gets Deion closer to where he wants to be moving into next year. The problem is he won't have Shedeur anymore or Travis. And I don't know how good his recruiting has been over the last couple seasons. Remember, it's been all transfer portal for him, and it's hard winning a championship via all transfer portal. All right, looking at some of the games that are happening this week, I talked about Auburn and Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma beats Auburn. I think it's going to be a tough, hot Saturday for Auburn fans. I don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be. I don't think even Hugh Freeze knows. Jackson Arnold's not starting for Oklahoma, but I don't think that matters. And I think Oklahoma beats Auburn. They go to 4-1, and Auburn goes to 2-3. And Auburn fans are wondering now, after 2 years of Hugh Freeze, if he's the answer as a head coach. Arkansas A&M. I put this in there because A&M's ranked right now, but I think Arkansas wins. I like Sam Pittman's team. I think they win 8 games this year. I like Taylor Green. I like the fact that they play good defense, and I think Sam Pittman, along with Bobby Petrino, has Arkansas in the right direction. They get a win over A&M, and they get ranked after this week. Mark my words, Arkansas beats A&M. Put that down. Illinois, Penn State, Drew Aller puts his name in that Heisman category. I think he has a huge one against Illinois. Illinois coming in at 4-0, ranked number 19. Penn State, this is really one of their first true tests of the season. It's at home, and it's going to be loud at Penn State, and I think that Penn State wins this game. I think they win it maybe by 2 touchdowns. Because if it is a close game, I would not be surprised if Illinois pulls out the upset. Okay? But I think Penn State, with everything they have returning and Aller playing excellent, that running back duo of Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, they have everything you need to win, okay? And Beaver Stadium's going to be rocking. I think Penn State beats Illinois. And then the game of the day. No one cares about anything else but this one. Game day's going to be there, 7:30. It's Alabama, it's Georgia. This game has pretty much decided who made the national championship since 2017. These have been the best 2 programs in the entire country since 2017. And since that year, Alabama won in 17, 18, won in 20, won in 21, lost in 21 in the national championship, won again in 23. They are 5-1 against Georgia since Kirby Smart took over the program. But Nick Saban's not the coach anymore. I don't think that matters. I think Alabama wins. Even after the bye, Georgia's going to bounce back. It's going to be a close game. But I'm telling you, the difference is Jalen Milroe. I think he comes out of this game as still the favorite to win the Heisman. I think he's going to have a massive game, and Alabama wins this close. And Georgia fans are going to start wondering, is it there's some type of curse against Alabama because they just can't get over the hump, even with a new coach. So I see Georgia losing Alabama. It's at Alabama. Bryant Denny's rocking. Nick Saban's going to be there. I think it's going to be one of the games of the year. But give me Alabama in a close one. And everybody thought there was going to be a drop-off. I was one of them on Alabama 10-2. They beat Georgia? You talking natty now, man. Kalen DeBoer winning natty in year one? Wow. All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, it's time for the NFL. The Falcons, here's a teaser. They actually impressed me. I'll tell you why. Even though they lost, it's Unsolicited Hot Take with Thrift Behringer.
Welcome to the Campus Academy Private School, where every student is celebrated for their individuality. With personalized curriculum, students unlock their potential, growing into confident learners. At the Campus Academy, we give teachers the freedom to create dynamic classrooms where every student's voice is heard. Discover the difference. Enroll your child today and watch them thrive.
Welcome back to Unsolicited Hot Take with Thrift Behringer, and it's time to talk the NFL. Crazy Chris said they were going to beat the Chiefs. I actually predicted it too, and the Falcons were a 4th down away. I don't know why they called it a tall sweep when they had 2 offensive linemen out, and they had playing against one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. But you know what? I'm not going to get mad. Falcons still impress me. Kirk Cousins is getting better each and every week. I like what I see from the Falcons. They were competitive in each one of the games they played. They played against an Eagles team that's 2-1, probably going to win the NFC East. They won that on the road, by the way. I think helped their confidence. And there are 2 losses against to 2 of the 4 undefeated teams, Pittsburgh and Kansas City. 1 and 2, all competitive in those games. I think that's a win for the Atlanta Falcons. Still impressed me how they played. I honestly think they outplayed Kansas City and should have won that football game. But everything's still in front of them. I think the biggest game of the season so far is this week at home against a Saints team who looked like world beaters in the first 2 weeks, averaging 40 points a game, and then lost this past week in dramatic fashion to the Eagles, kind of like how the Falcons Falcons beat the Eagles the week before. I think the Falcons beat the Saints at home. And I think they put everyone on notice in the NFC South. This is a different Falcons team. This is a different Kirk Cousins. And they're going to win 11 or 12 games like I predicted. I really do think they're going to do that, and they're going to win this division. So I actually took positives away from what I saw in a nail-biter against the defending back-to-back world champions and the Chiefs. And then if you're the Chiefs, the thing is, they haven't looked like dominating in the last couple seasons. I mean, look at how they beat the Eagles the year before in the Super Bowl, and then 49ers the next year. Both those came down to the wire. Both times, Eagles and San Francisco were winning late in that game. But the Chiefs have 15. And as long as they got number 15, that was like having number 12 for the Patriots and the Bucks, Tom Brady, you're going to have a chance to win a title. Chiefs' defense is obviously better than it's ever been. Their offense is kind of lack thereof because they just don't have that. If they had a Tyreek Hill, this team would be dominant. But they don't have that right now. Everyone double-teams Kelsey. And then Rashee Rice is a decent receiver. Worthy's getting better. I mean, he's only a rookie. I like Kansas City, but obviously they've had 2 games this year already that they could have lost. And the Ravens, at home in week 1 and then this past week against the Atlanta Falcons. Bengals are in trouble. Zach Taylor will be fired. I don't think the Bengals make the playoffs this year. I think it's going to be Steelers and Ravens, and I don't think Zach Taylor manages the entire season. He's been out-coached. It looked like Jaden Daniels outplayed Joe Burrow on Monday Night Football, the Commanders. How about Dan Quinn? Shout out to the former Falcons coach, Danny Quinn. What if he gets the Commanders in the playoffs? And don't say it can't happen, because it could. Because right now, the league is so up for grabs, it's not even funny. There is not a prohibited favorite. And I think this is one of the most parity that the NFL's had in quite some time. But the Bengals didn't look good losing that game to the Commanders, and they're in trouble, and I think Zach Taylor's going to be gone. And another Kyle Shanahan loss, bad loss too, double digits, to lose to a winless Rams team who has every receiver you think out, and yet still Matthew Stafford shoves it up the 49ers, you know what. I mean, great job by the Rams. I don't know if they make the playoffs just because of how many injuries they're having to deal with, but I like what I've seen. I don't like what I've seen from San Francisco. Ever since dominating the Jets in week 1, they've had back-to-back bad losses. Richard Holdridge, I know it stings. The problem is I could see them, I could see the Rams, and I really could see right now undefeated Seattle Seahawks team, all three winning that division. But if you're the 49ers, it's not about making the playoffs. It's about finishing, and you're still having problems that you had last year, which is being up in late in games and blowing leads. Is Minnesota the best team in the NFL? Why not? Sam Darnold's played better than almost any other quarterback. He's finally getting someone to believe in him. Everybody thought he was a bust. He's younger than Joe Burrow is right now, not even close to 30. I like Sam Darnold. I like the Vikings. I like how talented their roster is. I like the fact they'll get Jordan Addison back here soon. Their defense is good. Minnesota, I'm telling you, it's going to make the playoffs this year. And right now, they're the best team in the NFC. Now, is that going to be the same way at the end of the year? Absolutely not. But you tell me there's a better team than Minnesota right now? They've taken care of business every single week. Why can't they be the best team in football? Kevin O'Connell, remember, won 13 games 2 years ago. And that year, they won 9 games last effort, like down to the wire, one possession games. This year, it's dominating teams. So how about the Minnesota Vikings? A couple games that I did want to talk about, Bills and Ravens. At the Ravens, undefeated Bills. I think Ravens win. They go 2-2. But how about this Ravens schedule to start the season? My goodness. That Raiders loss looks horrible because Raiders are terrible. But how about the Bills and the Ravens? That should be a good game. Sunday Night Football. You got Allen versus Lamar Jackson. I got Ravens winning because I don't think they want to go to 1-3 and get 3 games behind the undefeated Steelers, who I think win again this week and go to 4-0 with Justin Fields. And Saints, Falcons. Give me the Saints to lose to the Falcons. You like that, didn't you? Chris, I got Crazy Chris worked up when I said give me the Saints. He's like, are you really picking the Saints? No, to lose to the Falcons. And I think the Falcons win 27-17. Defense looks good. Kirk Cousins plays his best football out of the entire year. And now people start saying, are the Falcons the best team in the NFC South? And I think the Bucs lose to the Eagles. So you're going to have 3 teams all at 2-2. You're going to have Bucs, Falcons, and Saints. And I think at the end of the year, Falcons is going to be the one that's on top of all 3 of those teams. Next week, I'll start giving predictions on who are my top 5 teams in the NFL, who are my favorites to win MVP. I like having a month go through. So after this week, I'll start giving you those predictions. All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, it's everyone's favorite segment. It's Crazy Chris time. Braves and Mets play on Monday, doubleheader. I think Braves are going to win that final wild card and maybe win the World Series. I'm going to talk WNBA Caitlin Clark. She just ended her season. And what I think has happened in the WNBA is probably the best thing that is now going to take this league, which was an afterthought 5 years ago, to now one of the most watched basketball leagues we have. I thoroughly think that this year was a huge success, and I'm going to give you my opinion on that. And then I'm going to go back to the year 2004. It's really a special year for me. It's kind of when I started really covering and enjoying sports. And I want to tell you everything that happened that year. But we'll be right back. It's Unsolicited Hot Take with Thrift Behringer.
Welcome to the Campus Academy Private School, where every student is celebrated for their individuality. With personalized curriculum, students unlock their potential, growing into confident learners. At the Campus Academy, we give teachers the freedom to create dynamic classrooms where every student's voice is heard. Discover the difference. Enroll your child today and watch them thrive.
We're back. It's Unsolicited, Fiery Hot Take with Thrift Behringer. And, I mean, I can't hold him anymore. He's a superstar. This guy's got an ego. I can't literally call him anymore. I have to go through his people to even get him on the show. He's popular. He's smarter than everybody. You think you're better than him? Ain't nobody better than him. It's Crazy Chris. Crazy Chris. What's up, man? What's on your mind today?
Wow. Look at that. All those things he said. And for the folks at home, 4 of those were lies and 1's the truth. But I'll tell you what's the truth, baby. I don't care what you got to say. I was impressed with the Falcons, like you said.
Yes,
no, they didn't win that game. They should have won that game. And B. John said that wasn't his call. That was Kirk Cousins that told him to call that play. Don't know why they called that play. You're going to run on the outside on 4th and inches when you could have ran up the middle. But that's besides the point. Besides the point. Don't even worry about the pass interference call that should have been called against Kyle Pitts. We ain't going to worry about that. That's a new day, new game, and it's hate week. And I hate everybody. I hate everything.
Because it's
I
the
hate
eights.
this hurricane. You know what? It's funny. This is a good week. Could be, depending how this week goes, this could be the best week for Georgia sports fans, or it could be the worst week for Georgia sports fans. 2 big games on the line between UGA and Alabama, as you already talked about, Thrift, earlier this segment. And I have to agree with you. This is a big one. Could be the Jalen Milrose Heisman watch that we been looking at, so that's huge for them.
Where are you going with that one, Crazy Chris?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have to go Georgia, but not. I don't. It's not gonna be no shootout or anything. Georgia played bad against Kentucky, and I think they have to come out in this game, another tough game on the road, and show that, hey, listen, we're a top 4 team. We were number 1 for a reason. We got to go. And it doesn't get easier for Georgia. This is Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn have tough games the rest of the way. I mean, Georgia could easily lose the next 4 games, much less win the next 4 games. I think they even go 2-2. I think that's a miracle itself. But I picked Georgia. And the Braves, I know you're going to talk about them later. Big series against the Mets. This is playoffs. Wild card.
On the line.
We're going to see. But listen, you're not here to hear regular Chris. You're here to hear a Crazy Chris segment. I'm going to give you something crazy for you. 2 crazy things real quickly. Crazy one, number 1. Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, if they stay healthy, playoff teams, Super Bowl contenders.
Jets, Falcons.
Going. Jets, Falcons, baby. That's right. I don't care what you say.
Broadway Aaron.
I'm going to say this. When Peyton Manning went to the first year of the Broncos, they were 3-3. They did not look good. Many people forgot that the Broncos almost got lambasted by the Falcons on a Monday night game where the Falcons were up 3 touchdowns before Peyton and them got back in the game, and eventually the Falcons did win that game. I bring it up because right now you're seeing that with both these quarterbacks. They're aging. They're just coming back from a major injury. They're not playing the best, but if they stay healthy, get used to these offenses, woo! Let me tell you something. This could be dangerous. You know, just look at Jared Goff and Matt Stafford.
Right.
Dangerous QBs at this time of the season, especially when we get closer to December. Look out, my friend. And another crazy pick for you. And it's insanity. I think it's insanity, but I don't care because you're here for some crazy picks, and maybe you're not. I know Andy Dalton played well at Carolina. I know the Panthers look really good underneath him. It's too early to tell, but Bryce Young, I still believe in him. And I believe him so much that the Miami Dolphins are going to trade for him. I'm putting it out there right now. Go to Vegas on that one. Bryce, with Tua the way he's being right now, Bryce, he knows that system. He could go down there. I seriously think the coach at Miami, whose name escaped me at the moment, McDaniels, I think he could do a great job with them. I think that they could really, really make some strides with them. You don't go from winning the Heisman and being such a fantastic quarterback to being benched at Carolina, and everyone else who's left Carolina is doing well right now. So that's it. My two crazy picks: Falcons and Jets, stay healthy, go all the way. Bryce Young could take Miami to a playoff, or at least redeem their season if he gets traded. I think that.
Crazy Chris segment is brought to you by
no one.
Thank you, Crazy Chris. A couple things. Would love to see Falcons Jets. Talking about a crazy take. The two worst franchises in the last 5 years.
I just want to say this
playing in
real
the
quick.
Super Bowl.
I'm sorry. Since you said that, it was just only 5 years ago. Who was the four teams that were leading to a Super Bowl? Was it 5 or 6 years ago? Where we have Blake Bortles Jaguars, the Blake Bortles Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nick Foles
Eagles, a Case Keenum Vikings, and Tom Brady. So it's not that crazy with the way how it looks, but that's why I'm Crazy Chris. So that's all I have to say.
Exactly right. All right, let's talk about the Braves. I think they're going to have a great final series here. They don't have a game tonight. They have the Royals, who are still battling for a playoff position. I think they win all 3 games. I think they win out and go in 91-71 as a wild card, and I think they win the wild card, and then they go on and play in the NLCS against the Dodgers. I got Braves. Braves are going to do to the Phillies what the Phillies have done to the Braves these last couple years. Mark my words, I'm seeing it right now. Even if they don't make the playoffs, I still think what the Braves have done this year and what the manager Brian Snitker's done, commendable, and hopefully we can stay healthy. And I hate that we would have wasted a really good Chris Sale year, a really good Marcell Ozuna, but Albies is back. Why can't we make the playoffs? And then if we make the playoffs, anything can happen with this Braves team. The WNBA, as I made mention, I love what I've seen from this league. The playoffs are extraordinary. I love the energy in these packed-out arenas. And the Sun Fever game was awesome. Obviously, Caitlin Clark put on a show. She was all WNBA, all rookie, led the league in assists, put up 19 points a game. She is going to be one of the faces. I'm saying one of the, not the, but one of the faces for the WNBA. And there has not been a bigger growth in a sport in such a short amount of time in one season in a long time. And you just saw it with the WNBA. It is twofold. The coverage and the support that they are getting this year compared to previous years. Looking forward to this league continuing to grow. Looking forward to seeing the rest of the WNBA playoffs play out. I think Nescu and the New York Liberty with Breanna Stewart, I think they're going to be the champions this year. But, man, it's fun to watch some WNBA. All right, 2004. Nerd alert. Throw it up, Chris. Alert time. Let's go back. I was 11 years old, and what I wanted for Christmas was the college football encyclopedia, the college basketball encyclopedia. I was really into sports. That's when I started, stats interest me a lot. The history of the games, who won championships, former Heismans, all that stuff really started piquing my interest around that year. And I'm going to start with the 03-04 NBA season and then turn it into the 04-05 because 03-04 was an interesting year for me too because I loved the Lakers, and Kobe Bryant was my favorite player in the NBA at that time. And my Lakers got just obliterated by a Pistons team that didn't have a superstar. If everybody remembers that. It's the last year Shaq and Kobe played together. You had the Kobe rape case that entire year. You had Karl Malone. You had Gary Payton. They called it the super team, and then they got beaten 5 games against the Detroit Pistons. So the 04-05 season, Kobe started hurt, and the Lakers weren't the Lakers anymore. In that 04-05 season, Pistons, during that 2-year span, they were the best team in basketball. with the Spurs, and that's who played in the NBA Finals that season. The MVP of 03-04 was KG. The MVP for 04-05 was Steve Nash, who put up 15 points a game, 11 assists. That's the 60, I forgot what it was, 60 seconds or less, or 7 seconds or less, not 60 seconds. I'm thinking of a daggum movie. Gosh, 7 seconds or less. Mike D'Antoni and the Suns, who put up 60 wins that year, they lose in the conference finals to the Spurs in 5. The Spurs put up like 130 points, it seemed like, in those first 2 games. High-scoring affair. Amari Stoudemire averaged close to 40 points a game during that series, but the Suns, the Spurs were showing why they were the best team in basketball. And then the Pistons beat the newly led Shaq, who just got traded to the Miami Heat in the Dwayne Wade second year. They won in 7 games. That was, remember, the next year Sam Van Gundy got fired. They led in that game 7, just couldn't hit free throws down towards the end of the game. And then you saw Rasheed Wallace, big shot Chauncey Billups, who was the previous year's MVP in the NBA Finals, and Rip Hamilton take the Pistons back to the NBA Finals, in which they played the Spurs all the way to 7 games. So Game 5 was the best game of the series, as Robert Horry hits a 3 late in overtime to win that. The Pistons led. They should have won and been up 3-2, because then in Game 6, they won that by almost 30 points over the Spurs and forced a Game 7, which was won by Tim Duncan, who was the MVP of the series. A defensive battle. Didn't get a lot of ratings because the games were low scoring in the 70s, and, people weren't very entertained by that. And then there were 2 kind of boring teams compared to entertainment in the NBA. But the Pistons lost to the Spurs. That was last year for Larry Brown as the coach for the Detroit Pistons. Saying in 04, we'll go to college football, as Auburn started number 18. It's one of my favorite Auburn teams of all time. Moved all the way up to number 3. They beat Tennessee on the road. They dominated every team except for LSU. They dominated a Georgia team that was ranked in the top 5 of the BCS. They beat a really good LSU team. They went to Neyland Stadium and beat a top 10 Tennessee team 34-10. They were the best team in the SEC, and this is the last time an SEC team would ever be left out of any type of national championship, because Oklahoma and USC started 1-2, and they ended the regular season at 1-2. Oklahoma ended up getting beat in the national championship, the Orange Bowl, that year, 55-19. Auburn beat Virginia Tech 16-13. There was no co-national champions like the previous year with USC and LSU, but I think Auburn plays USC. I don't know if they win, but it's not 55-19, not with that defense, led by Travis Williams, Carlos Rogers Jr., Rose Green. Then looking at the offense, led by Jason Campbell, the 2 best running backs duo, I think, in the last 20 years. Ronnie Brown, Cadillac Williams, they went number 2 and 3 in the NFL draft. Courtney Taylor, Anthony Mix, Ben Abamanu. That was one of the best receiving corps Auburn's seen until this year. And Auburn went undefeated, didn't play in the national championship. USC did. Matt Leinart won the Heisman Trophy, and USC went undefeated, pretty much uncontested, all the way to dominate in Oklahoma. And that was the year Adrian Peterson, as a freshman, put over 2,000 yards and was second in Heisman. I mean, what if not the best freshman year I have ever seen from any player? Adrian Peterson, Oklahoma in 2004. Jason White was the previous year's Heisman. That was his final year, and Stoops' team gets dominated by USC. Staying in the NFL, the Falcons had their best year, led by Michael Vick. They went 11-5 in Jim Moore Jr.'s first year. And the Atlanta Falcons made it to their first conference championship since 1998, which they played an Eagles team that had made it to the NFC Championship the previous 3 years, never could overcome the Buccaneers in 2002, Rams in 2001, and the Panthers in 03. And in 03 and 02, they were favorites and at home and lost. In 04, they were at home. They traded for T.O., 13-3. Donovan McNabb, Eagles make the Super Bowl. But the Falcons did win make it to the conference championship, which was a big deal for Falcons fans. And Michael Vick was incredible that year and took the league by storm, obviously. In the AFC, it was Patriots and Steelers. Steelers 15-1. They lost the first game, won 15 in a row. Ben Roethlisberger didn't lose a game until he played the Patriots again. He actually beat the Patriots in the regular season pretty bad, 34-20. And then in the AFC Championship game, Tom Brady and the Patriots put 41 points on the best defense in the NFL that year, Dick LeBeau, and they won 41-27. Patriots then beat the Eagles, and they won their third Super Bowl in 4 years. MVP of the league was Peyton Manning. He broke Dan Marino's record of 48 touchdowns with 49 that season. Then that was broke by Tom Brady and then broke again by Peyton Manning, where the record still is 55 touchdowns in the regular season. But Manning broke it with 49 in 04, but the Colts defense was lack thereof, and then the offense put up 3 points against the Patriots in the divisional round, and they lost back-to-back years to the Patriots, and Peyton Manning won back-to-back MVPs. Didn't matter. They didn't even come close to the Super Bowl. Talking about basketball, college basketball, 04-05. That was second year of Roy Williams in North Carolina, led by Sean May, Marvin Williams, a freshman, Raymond Felton, Rashad McCants, and these North Carolina Tar Heels went all the way to the national championship and played one of the best national championship games, one of my favorites of all time, against a one-loss Illinois team who was led by D. Brown and Darren Williams, Luther Head, James Augustine, and this Illinois team had one loss. He lost to Ohio State in the final week of the regular season at Ohio State. They were 37-1 coming into that national championship, and North Carolina beats them. The player of the year that year in 04-05 now slips to the top of my head. Who was the player of the year? Because the year after was J.J. Redick and Adam Morrison. Now it's going to bother me that I cannot remember who was player of the year that year for college basketball. But anyway, Kentucky played in the Elite Eight against Michigan State. The Final Four that year was Michigan State, North Carolina, Illinois, and Louisville. Those were all there. So now I'm going to have to look it up because I can't go on and not say who the Naismith player of the year was. And obviously I should have already had that in my brain, showing that I'm not that big of a nerd. And of course it'd be the one year that I forgot because it was Andrew Bogut of Utah. Gosh, and that Utah team went to the Sweet 16. They were a 4 seed. I cannot believe I daggum forgot that. Anyway, Andrew Bogut was player of the year. But back to Illinois, North Carolina. It was a tie game with the last minute. Great heroic performance from Marvin Williams. Raymond Felton was great, and Sean May was unstoppable, the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament that year. For the World Series in 2004, the great Bambino curse was broke. The Red Sox down 3-0, down late in the ninth inning of Game 5, back-to-back walk-off wins by David Ortiz. They go back to Game 6. No one's ever come back down 3-0, ever in any sport, but never in baseball. And they come all the way back. And I remember in that Game 7, it was over after the second inning. Johnny Damon hit a grand slam. The Red Sox just obliterated the Yankees in Game 7. And then after that, they won 4 straight to win that one, come back down 3-0. That was kind of like that monkey off their back after losing Game 7 off a walk-off home run in 03 with Aaron Boone. The Red Sox win the World Series. They didn't even come close to losing to the Cardinals. They swept 105 win, probably the best team in baseball, Cardinals team. Many people forget that because what they did to beat their rival, the Yankees, being down 3-0. But that was the year the Bambino curse was broken, and the Red Sox finally got another World Series win. So that was awesome for them to be able to do that. So there is your year in sports, and 04 was a fun year for me. Going back to when I was a young whippersnapper, thinking about those great teams. Crazy Chris, anything you want to add before we end?
Actually, there was one thing I wanted to say. There's a movie called Fever Pitch with Drew Barrymore and
it's off
Jimmy
of that
Fallon.
season. Yep,
it is off that season. The reason why I bring it up, I have worked with a guy in sports before. He can't stand that movie nor that year. He's the biggest Cardinals fan. So whenever anyone talks about the 04 season, I immediately think of that movie. And that same, so when you said that, I'm sorry, I just had to chime in just like, yes, that was a amazing season, and that really almost kind of brought back the Boston, not a dynasty, but it brought back the relevance
they won
of the
in 07.
Boston.
Yep, they won in 07. They won again in 2013 and then 2018. So they got 4 World Series since that moment. So you're right, Chris. That was a huge moment in sports. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. Stay safe. Be easy. Make sure to tune in to the Sports Visions radio show every Monday and Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. DJ Jones is going to be on the road. Georgia, Alabama. Follow him on Facebook. We'll talk about that game on Monday on the Sports Visions radio show. Can't wait to see that. Tennessee may be the best team in the SEC. Mark my words on that. I really like them. And Texas, those could be the best 2 teams, not Georgia and Alabama. That's how good the SEC is. And I didn't even talk about Missouri and then Ole Miss, too, who are undefeated. And LSU's only got 1 loss. Man, that is a tough conference, and Auburn sucks in that tough of a conference. Good luck without a quarterback winning against those teams. All right, thank y'all so much. Georgia, Alabama Sports Live, all the games that we do on Georgia, Alabama Sports Live, all the high school games got from Friday, moved to Saturday, 12 o'clock Pacelli, Dave Platt on the call, 2 p.m. Northside Harris County, myself and Rick Beach on the call, and 2 p.m. Hardaway Carver. Rex Castillo makes his debut as a play-by-play for Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. Tune in this Friday. Watch some college football, high school football. Busy, fun Saturday. Thank y'all for watching Unsolicited Hot Take, presented by Sports Visions. And, of course, can't forget the Campus Academy, one of the best private schools around. Got a new building off of Weems Road. Go to thecampusacademy.com to schedule a tour right now. We thank y'all so much. See you next time on Unsolicited Hot Take with Thrift Behringer.